do writer's workshop every day, and if I happen to forget and we have a different change of schedule, the kids beg me to do it anyway. Are you guys ready for writing workshop?
Yes.
Yay! So the first thing we're going to do is, we always write expectations at the beginning of every lesson, and it helps the kids to remember exactly what they're supposed to be doing during that activity or that lesson. So first, you're going to listen, and then you are going to think about what you'd like to write, and then you're going to share with a friend, and then you are going to your tables to write and illustrate your own story. Do you guys remember earlier today when we read the book about the pigeon?
Yeah.
And we looked at this book, and in this book there were lots of things that looked like this. These are called speech bubbles. And if this is right here above the head of the pigeon, who's saying those words?
The pigeon.
The pigeon. Let's find one where somebody else is talking. Here's the man that takes care of the pigeon. Is the pigeon saying these words, or who is saying them?
The man.
The man, because those words are coming out of a bubble that comes out of his mouth, right? And there's two speech bubbles here, but you know what? They're connected, and so that lets us know, is he saying these words too?
Yeah.
He is. I was thinking maybe that today I might write a story that had some speech bubbles in it. Do you think I can do that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. What's the first thing I write on my paper in writing workshop? In the beginning, we start with just the most basic, and I don't always use a book. It just happened that this week we had read a few of Mo Willems' books, and he uses speech bubbles often, and they really thought that was funny, so I thought it would be a good thing to introduce to their story writing. I have to think first, too. Shh. Can everybody be quiet so I can think? I've got to plan my story. Oh, I know. This story might make you laugh. Last night, I was sick yesterday, remember? Remember how I didn't feel very good yesterday? I was really tired. And so last night when I went home, I got new medicine. I went to the doctor, and the doctor gave me new medicine, and so I took my medicine really early, and I got a book, and I told Chris that I was going to go ahead and go to bed and go to sleep and read my book, or read my book and then go to sleep. So I went to my room, and I got my book, and I put on my pajamas, and I got in the bed, and I was laying there reading, and then I fell asleep. And I went to sleep, and I was asleep for about 4 hours, and then I heard this big noise. And Chris came in, and he made a lot of noise, and he woke me up. And I said, "Are you crazy? You woke me up." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I think I'll write that story. Okay, so, and I'm going to use some speech bubbles. Okay, so here's my bed, and here's me. I'm reading my book. And then, well, then I fell asleep. So I laid down on the pillow, and I went to sleep, and I put the blanket up. Okay, I'll put some hair on. I liked the book. It was funny, so I made a face smiling. And here, I was really happy because I was asleep. And then, he was really happy because he'd just seen something funny. And I said, "Are you crazy? You woke me up."
What was that big noise? What was the big noise?
He hit the door with his foot when he came in the room.
But, Mr. The speech bubble?
I'm going to write. So this is my, what do we sleep on? What do I sleep on?
Bed.
My bed. So what sound does bed start with? B, E, D, D, D. B-E-D, bed. And who's this?
You.
That's me. And then here I am, and what am I doing here?
Sleepy.
I'm sleeping. Sleeping. S, L, E, Bing, G, G, G. Sleeping. And that's me again. And who's this?
Chris.
So here I am, and I was thinking, I like this book. So here I am. It was all quiet, and I was sleeping, and I was so happy. I didn't feel bad anymore. And then Chris came in, and he made this big loud noise. He kicked the door with his foot because he wasn't watching where he was going. It was dark. And so there was this big loud bang. And then I woke up. My hair looked all crazy. And I said, "Are you crazy?" And he said, "Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to write my story. I am going to start by saying last night. Do I start with a capital or a lowercase letter? Capital. Always, when I start my sentence, I start with a capital letter. Last. And what do I leave between my words? Space. Last night, I went
to bed early.
That's right. To bed early. We're going to do it like early. To read. What was I doing first? To read a book. To read a book. I fell asleep. I fell asleep. Chris, and I start his name with a capital letter because it's a proper name. Chris
woke me up.
Woke me up. Woke me up when
I was asleep.
He
Hit the door.
He hit what letter? H-I-T the door. I said,
are you crazy?
Are you crazy? You woke me up. And how am I going to say that? Am I going to say it like really quietly, or do you think I was pretty excited and kind of exclamation point? You woke me up.
You woke me
Can you guys help me read it? Okay. Ready? Pedro? Last night I went to bed early to read a book. I fell asleep. Chris woke me up when he hit the door. I said, "Are you crazy? You woke me up." Okay, now, are you guys ready to write your own stories? What do we have to do first? Think. Everybody, can everybody think? Think about what you'd like to tell me a story about today. Okay, after you've thought about your story, get with the person next to you, turn and talk to a person next to you, and share what you're thinking about writing. When you finish thinking, you may go get your paper. Walk. Remember, if you want to use speech bubbles in your story today, you can do those in your illustration and then write what you said in your story. When I teach a mini lesson, we remind the kids of what we talked about when they go off to write, but like today, they use speech bubbles if they wanted to. They were not required. I just reminded them at the end in case they had an idea that would be good for that.
Whatever, since you broke your hand. I'm like,
Remember, if you want to write on the floor, you can take your clipboard. Every now and then I do have kids who are not really interested in writing on that particular day, but it's not very often, and like I said before, most of them really love Writer's Workshop, and it's one of the things that they won't let me forget. Well, when I start Writer's Workshop at the beginning, from the very beginning, I do it with a lot of excitement and a lot of emotion. I like to write myself, and so I think if we show them that it can be fun, they actually, it's pretty contagious.
I am sad.
Wow.
His dog. My dog.
Okay, well, write the words. I think it's very important actually to let them have the freedom to talk while they're working on their writing piece, just because it's just kind of like thinking out loud. I do it myself when I write lists or if I'm writing in a journal, and it doesn't really seem to distract anybody. I think it actually helps their stories evolve a little bit better. I think it's very important also in the writing part, wherever they're writing, if they need help with writing a word, they can ask someone next to them. I have children of all levels at all tables, and I do that purposely so that if someone else who perhaps doesn't know as much needs help, they can ask someone at their table to help them sound out a word or to write it. Your dog. It would, in Spanish, it would be for gato. Good. Okay. So here, this is you, and you're saying, mi papá me compró mis zapatos. Cool. For Writer's Workshop in a bilingual classroom, if it's an English day, I do the modeling in English, and they are actually allowed to write in whichever language they feel more comfortable with. And on a Spanish day, I just model the lesson in Spanish and do my writing in Spanish, and they write in whichever language they're more comfortable in at the time. For my students who are writing in both languages, in both English and Spanish, pretty much across the board, their Spanish is stronger and they make fewer mistakes in Spanish, and they write stories that are a lot longer in Spanish. In English, most of those have a little bit shorter stories at this point, but they are pretty much always getting the beginning sounds and ending sounds of the words in English. So.
Hermana, ¿me regalas esta bicicleta? Mi papá se compró una roca negra.
¡Ay, qué bonito! ¿Es nuevo? ¿Y te gusta? I believe that Writing Workshop has been the most helpful thing for my students in growing their abilities as readers, because I've just seen from year to year, as we've gotten more comfortable doing Writing Workshop, that my reading levels have gone up higher and higher every year, and they're getting there more quickly. They're interested in it. If they're writing it, they can read it, and they just bloom a lot more quickly when we're doing Writing Workshop. Oh my. I like how you use speech bubbles. Are you ready, Brent? He did what?
He went in my hair.
Your dog went up in your hair? Was he playing in your hair? That's funny. And so what does this say?
My dog.
My dog? You said my dog? That's funny. What happened after that? After he went up and played in your hair, what else did he do? He pulled your hair? Write that part. That's funny. In the beginning in kindergarten, we just give them blank paper to write on at the beginning, not even any lines, and no box for illustration. And I pulled some examples. This student, these are from early September, and as you can see, she just drew a picture, and she knew enough about writing that to write something down here at the bottom, but what she wrote doesn't really have anything to do with the picture, as I can tell. It did for her, but it doesn't spell anything in particular. There are some sounds like butterfly. I think she was trying to write butterfly, and FI is at the end of this one. And so, of course, at the beginning, it's very simple. It takes a little bit less time. And then here's an example of her work in May. And it's a story with several pages that goes on, and she's got spacing and smaller letters and all that. So it grows with them. They start very simply, and then we start making more paper available to them with more lines and opportunity for more pages that they can add to.